Hi there, I'm Kevin Cook from Video Artisan, and today we've got a little discussion panel on videography today. And with me I've got Stuart Borum, Jag Ravinder, is that right, or Rana?
Jagvinder Rana, yeah.
And Ben Marlowe. And we can talk a little bit about where the professional video market is, and the industry, the technology, the creative side. And I've got together a few questions for the guys. And the first one, which is a bit of an icebreaker, is what we call ourselves. So what are you, a videographer, video producer, cinematographer? Yeah, what do you call yourself? Maybe you can describe a little bit about what you do as a business. So we'll start with Ben.
Personally, I'm definitely a cinematographer because it sounds a lot more cool than the other ones. And predominantly we're shooting weddings. Reason I call myself a cinematographer is because we are basically trying to tell a story, like make a film and tell stories, as opposed to being the video guy. So that's me.
Yeah, I'm kind of borders between video producer because we are producing, and a cinematographer because the kind of product that we're offering is on the cinematic side. So that's especially what we class ourselves as, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to this. Miserable gits, mostly. Media professional is what I tend to put down if people ask me what my job description is, but because now there's so many things that we do. Cinematographer does sound great, yeah, maybe I should go with that.
Go for it.
But then I spend a lot of time editing. Difficult, isn't it? This is the interesting conundrum of the small individual videographer, isn't it? Where are you at? Because you do so many things. Yeah. Whereas in the big wide world where they have large budgets, they'll have 20 people, we just do the whole thing on our own.
Yeah, do you think sometimes you can overplay it? I tend to, well, I still use the word videographer, but with my corporate work, it's normally video producer.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes I use the videographer because it makes me sound a little bit more competitive priced. Sounds like a negative thing, but I think people see it as a.
Yeah, I think cinematographer is perhaps in our industry still maybe a new term. So you're right in that perspective. A lot of people probably are more used to the term videographer than cinematographer. Yeah.
The question was sort of double-ended, sorry, two-sided question about. Can you explain a little bit about what you do as a business, Kiss and Gate Films? Explain what it is.
Yeah, sure. Well, we shoot, as I said, 99% of what we do is in the wedding industry. And as I say, we're trying to turn that whole old, boring wedding video guy at the back of a church kind of, boring video, and we're trying to make it into something a bit more exactly the same as Jag here. We're trying to make it more of a story, something that people are going to want to watch, and that's the way that it's all going. I mean, anyone worth their salt in our industry now will be looking to make a film of someone's event, not necessarily just weddings, that is going to get shared around with, socially with Facebook, Vimeo, and people who maybe weren't even at that event or whatever are going to be engaged to watch it and actually enjoy watching it because we've told the story well. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do at the minute.
Jack?
Yeah, as Ben said, basically, there's various elements of the video production. Now, one of the, you mentioned online, so obviously one of the things that we're doing is highlight sequences, which are short and tell the story and done to appropriate track, and they can be shared online anywhere, especially around the various media platforms these days, Facebook, Vimeo, stuff like that, basically, yeah.
So you're a bit different, aren't you?
Yeah, in a previous career I did about 600 or 700 weddings as a stills photographer. So I feel like I've got that out of my system. Right. I quite like my Saturdays. So I've gone entirely down the route of doing corporate, really. So we've got a few big name clients who we work for, which is great. We tend to do what they call below the line stuff. So rather than adverts, we do the training films, or we do the kind of stuff, exhibition stories or product launch stories that go on YouTube and other such places. So I also do a lot of work in the charity sector. I'm a trustee of a charity and I do quite a lot of work for them. So I use the corporate part of my business to fund the manufacturing or production of films with a message that go out and raise funds for the charities and so on. Brilliant. So two strings to the bow.
I mean, coming from the corporate side as well, 99% of my work's delivered online. I'm sure you're the same. What about you guys? I mean, how do people want their wedding film?
That's a good question to ask, because we have literally just changed the way we do things. DVDs, certainly for my company, are pretty much out of the question now. Whereas they would be the standard, now it's an extra that people will have to pay extra for, because it's online. It's so much easier for us. Not a lot of people have Blu-ray players, so everything that we shoot in this beautiful 1920 by 1080 HD gets crunched down onto this DVD, which is criminal, really, with the the cameras that we're using and the picture that we're getting. And there's talk of some new things coming out. MediaZilla being one of them, which is still in its funding process at the moment, whereby you can, it's similar to Dropbox or anything like that, or Vimeo, as in it's online and it's cloud storage. But this will have menus, so you can do everything that you did on a DVD, and I'll talk to you about this after, Jack. You can do everything that you did there, but it's all online, so people can get to it from anywhere in the world, and you don't have that extra bit in your workflow that you have to do this DVD, which is becoming a pain and obsolete. Are
you still doing physical delivery?
Yeah, I mean, we are still delivering on DVD and Blu-ray, and things like highlight sequences and these kind of things, as I mentioned earlier, are online, so they can be shared anywhere in the world. The thing about the DVD, obviously we do a lot of Asian stuff, and if it's going back home to countries like India, they're not quite with the sort of online or Blu-ray, so that kind of works there, and that's where we get a lot of people asking. Obviously everyone in this country wants everything now on high def, Blu-ray, etc. Yeah.
What I love about the online stuff is, if you produce a corporate, you might get a few people watching it, 10, sometimes maybe a few hundred. The online side of it, if you can get a subject which has got a little bit of viral potential, that goes into the thousands. And I think it's the same with weddings. A good film, you're going to get not only the connected audience, people, the family and friends watching the film, but also the actual, the production community see a good film, and then that gets buzzed around as well. And I think it's great. It's a great way.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's brilliant for us guys, because it's free advertising.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think with the online, obviously, you can go much further with it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move on to one of my other questions. How did you get into videography in the first place? I mean, my route was in via my father-in-law at an estate agency practice. He, at the time, thought houses, selling on video is going to be the thing. I know I'm going to set my future son-in-law up in a business, and he's going to make millions. We all know what we all know. And it doesn't work. And if anyone wants to ask that question, it does not work, and I will tell you lots of reasons why it doesn't work. But what got you into videography in the first place?
For me personally, when I was a lot younger, I used to do a lot of skateboarding, and we used to watch skateboard videos, and all of these videos would be shot from down here with another guy on a skateboard with a fisheye, and the shots were all the same. And then one company came out with this blockbuster style skateboard video, and they had lighting, and it was just completely different. They were multi-camera shoots, there were sets made for it, and it was absolutely incredible. And I looked at that and I thought, yeah, I want to do that.
It's interesting. I've got a similar story related to mountain biking.
Okay.
I've jumped the queue. Am I okay to go?
That's right. You go for it.
It's a free fall.
So the same kind of thing, that there was a couple of quite famous mountain biking films that came out. Oh wow, that really communicates. It's beautiful. And at the time, I started off as a teacher. Actually, I did 10 years as a technology teacher, and then did 10 years as a stills photographer, and felt like I really wanted to express myself with pictures that move. And I love the fact that when I was doing weddings, I'd be changing lenses and have 2 cameras and all the rest of it. And in those days, you have to change your battery every half hour because they were a bit rubbish. And then the video guys would come on and just use one camera for a super wide shot or zoom in on someone's nostrils. Oh, that's really, they don't have to worry about the technology so much. I mean, actually, that's a fallacy because it's even worse. But at the time, that's what it felt like to me. And seeing the mountain biking video, I could just remember us one day sitting down watching some telly and thinking, you should not be watching telly, you should be out there making telly, making TV. And so it just sort of went from there, and then I had a bit of luck, if you like, where a client, quite a big client, said to me, oh, you do videos as well, don't you? Oh, yeah. I'll just pretty go out and buy a camera. And so we had quite a big launch into the corporate world on a job, which then, in quite a big organisation, which then we got lots of work out of. So that's my story really, but I find it much more satisfying being able to tell the story. I mean, I know you can tell great stories with stills, and the other reason, of course, was that the market in those days was being flooded by loads of people with cheap digital cameras. When I started out, you used Polaroids, you had to know about exposure meters, You know, there was no screen on the back to see if you'd made a work of art or a cock-up. You had to know. And then when digital came along, suddenly the doors were open and the weekend warriors could come in and the price was lower. And so video at that stage was much more complicated and had higher barriers to entry. So for my business and also for my, creative desires, I thought getting into video was great in a number of ways. Now, of course, barriers to entry in video are lower, so I think I'll get into construction or demolition or something that's more, I don't know, guys.
Okay, well, I actually got the bug, if you like, back in the 70s when I watched Star Wars, and I just was so taken aback by the sort of visualization on screen. It kind of just said, I just thought, yeah, this is probably what I want to do. And then I was doing a 9-to-5 in the corporate world about 10 years ago, and my brother got married, and I saw his wedding video, and I just thought, you know what, I'm sure we can do better than this. And that's kind of how I got into it. And one of the things I thought, well, I'm going to do this market, there's loads of guys out there, what am I going to do differently? So we started off doing true widescreen at the time, which was not the norm. And that's basically how I got into it.
This leads on to the next question, really. What's the major things that have changed since you started? I mean, what's the big thing?
Did I jump the queue now?
Yeah, sure, totally.
Okay. Well, I think obviously one of the major things is the cameras and the kind of product that they're giving us now. I mean, gone are the days, well, there are still big cameras around, but obviously cameras have got a lot smaller. The kind of images they're producing, it's a lot more cinematic. NLEs have advanced way more than they used to. Things are getting faster, a lot more seamless. And what we can offer our client or customer at the end of the day now is coming close to, what you see in the cinema. Yeah. So the cost of producing that obviously has come down a lot more. Okay, obviously that means there are a lot more weekend warriors than you mentioned. But I think obviously with all the sort of years, we've seen a general sort of progress. So it just means obviously we can do a lot more with a lot less these days. So yeah.
I think the cost thing there is brilliant because again, going back to the weekend warrior thing, it's just made all of us pick up our game.
Yeah.
Because anyone can go out there and get a DSLR for fairly cheap, or even a video camera for fairly cheap, and go out and perfect their game and come out, and it's the market's flooded, so you really have to be good to to keep your head above the rest.
I think the DSLR has actually been a great introduction,
Amazing.
Not only because of what it can do, but it's made people go back and think about lenses. Where I mean, it was a good many years when I was involved in the industry, I didn't give it any thought at all to f-stops, focal length, anything like that. It was just a bit something on the front of the camera that I could capture light through. Mm-hmm. But now I think you have to, forcing you to think about those things brings out a bit more creativity. What you've seen, Stuart.
What's the question? Sorry, I was distracted by someone shouting.
The background there,
being attacked.
Being attacked, yeah. How things have changed in your industry since you first began?
Well, it's the same with videos, with stills. The ease of use of digital has applied in video as well. We started out with mini DV tapes, and that's gone out the window. The appearance, the cinematic look with the shallow depth of field, the range of light to dark that the camera's can see, for want of a better phrase, all that has shown. So the technology is much better and much cheaper. It's much more accessible. So there's been a levelling of the playing field. So you can make a movie with some guy, that film about the people in the water with the sharks, was made on a V1, wasn't it? Really cheap mini DV camera. And now you can get even better quality out of a 550D that costs less than $1,000. So it has levelled the playing field very much. So you're right. You do have to make sure there
was a series that was produced solely on the iPhone, and obviously you're very limited with an iPhone. But the fact that you can, technically make a film with what's in your pocket is
it's amazing.
Incredible.
That reinforces the point about content, though, doesn't it? Content is key. There's no two ways about it.
And storytelling as well. We can have all of these wonderful jibs and all of that sort of stuff, but you need to be able to tell a story.
It needs to be compelling.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's the difference, as you mentioned, between weekend warriors and people who've been around a while.
Definitely.
Any idiot can pick up a camera, but it's what you're going to do with it, and that's where the experience comes in.
Yeah, true.
Okay, what do you find most rewarding about your work, and what do you find most challenging? I always like to balance. Well, that's the way I always see the job. I always like to walk away from it thinking, I really enjoy doing that, and I've got to do that better next time. So what are the things?
The answer is really in the question there, Kevin, because it's the reward is when you've got over the challenges. Because particularly with what we're doing, so much changes within in any given wedding. So much can change. Your audio's not right. You set your lights up over there, but all of a sudden they've come in from the bride and groom have entered from a different room. So you've got all of this stuff, and these challenges are ongoing, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, classic. Yeah, you're right. Lights. You got your f-stop set up, and suddenly someone decides to turn the lights off in the room for the bride's entrance, and bang, it's overcoming those kind of challenges when you've got like 5 seconds to sort it out, basically. Yeah.
And then, of course, certainly, I don't know about for Stuart, but making mothers cry is something that I find rewarding.
How do you do that then? How do you do that?
Because of what you show them so beautiful, not so awful.
Okay, I thought it was okay.
You give them the bill, then they start crying.
Yeah.
If they don't cry a little bit, then your bill's not charging enough, are you? Okay, if you had to choose one, only one, what do you prefer doing, shooting or editing? And why?
This is a tricky one, this. Yeah. I mean, both for me have got their rewards. Editing means I have a bit more control, I can change things. Shooting, me personally, my favourite part of the day, if I'm doing a wedding, for example, is when we do like these kind of trailer sequences, where we're able to put a lot more creativity into the shot, rather than just recording off, on the fly. So it's a tricky one. If I had to choose, probably editing. Yeah.
Okay. Stuart, I'll let you go.
Well, editing is fun, isn't it? Because you sit down with a cup of tea or whatever, and raining outside, and bang out a video. I do enjoy shooting. I think that's where my heart is, I suppose. I've been a hobby photographer since I was 14, a professional photographer since I was about 18. Then I went into teaching and have come back. So it's all creating images on initially a bit of photosensitive paper, and then on a screen, and then on a moving screen is where my heart is, I suppose. So
I think I'm going to sit on the fence and go 50-50, because shooting you would say is the fun bit, because you're out there getting the shots, but then it's when you come to edit it, it's when you're putting it all together.
Refine it,
exactly, and that's when you're taking those amazing things that you had fun doing and then taking it to the next stage.
And it's the way you can change that one particular shot. You can just change it in so many different
I like the
ways.
way the story changes when you get to the edit suite. That you shoot it one way thinking this is the sequence, but actually when you get it on the suite and there's a shot there, you think actually just put that in there, just tells the story just so much better.
Definitely.
I would go for editing if we could start halfway through, because I hate the first 3 or 4 hours.
The logging and
when you're faced with like thousands of clips,
and
you're thinking, I'll really be anywhere rather than do this.
I think you hit it on the head, mate, with the highlight sequence. That's the bit everyone wants to do.
Yeah, short to the
3 hour
point. Exactly. And if you do it well, tell the story.
And also, see, editing comes into two parts. It becomes that creative side, and also the clean-up side. I mean, some of my work is pretty dull. I mean, I do some conference stuff, and it is literally wide shot, cut to close up, and the editing really is just doing that. And it's not a fun thing. There's no latitude for creativity.
Just have to look forward to the check in that case, don't you?
That's right. Yeah.
Just edit that bit out if your clients are watching. Do it for laugh, Kevin.
Yes, that's true. Yes. Okay, the common thread with us is we're all IOV members. That's how I sort of know you guys through my old role in the IOV. What benefits does being a member of a trade association? I'm a member of more than one trade association. I'm a great believer in it. So why do you guys do it?
Again, it's we're all sat here because of one. So you can meet people. You can have certain, if you're going to have area meetings or whatever, you can just sit with people who do the same thing as you and shoot the breeze. There's occasionally you'll get work from them. That's good. And my favourite thing is the award ceremonies, which I have not won yet.
Yet.
Give it time.
Yeah.
I mean, I joined about 5 or 6 years ago. I think one of the main reasons I joined at the time is when I left my employed job, I was working in a room with 4 walls. I was like, well, there's no interaction with anyone, so it was great to belong to a group who understand what you're going, because obviously, I don't know about you guys, but I went from, as I said, being employed to self-employed, and that was quite a big transition.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it's good to talk to your peers, swap ideas. I mean, you've got obviously, on a daily basis, you've got the forums online, which is always great to get advice, and, you know, just bounce ideas. As Ben said, you've got the award ceremonies, which I haven't won yet either.
It's time, there's still
yeah,
time.
Yeah. So yeah, there's quite a few benefits basically of being an IOV member. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really grateful to the IOV. I learned a lot when I started out. You know, my learning curve was very steep from saying yes, I can do video to actually having to do it in about 3 days. So yes, that was good to know. I've met many good friends through the IOV. I've learned loads of stuff. If I've needed assistance or answers to questions, you can go onto the forums. I've won a few awards. Sorry, guys. I've sold stuff on there, today I think I might have got a job from the IOV, from the forum, so yeah, it's great. There are many benefits. I think the marketing is good, that it shows that, and if you say, member at IOV, it implies that you are concerned enough about your business to want to learn, to want to be professional, to want to mix with people who've got the same kind of attitude. So I think it matters a great deal, actually.
One of the things I like, it's a bit like the fact that videographers now share their work online. There was a point when if somebody wanted to see your work, you'd have to send them a DVD and all that kind of thing. I think trade associations and this online community now, all of a sudden it spreads, it's a spreading thing. And the connections, what always astounded me when I used to run the IOV forum is that I see a question come in and I think, nobody's going to know the answer to that. But sure enough, somebody go, I know, or I definitely know a guy that knows. Yeah. And that's the amazing thing, it's that networking and that coming together of people that are, actually, we all want the industry to be taken a little bit more seriously. We all want that, because it's to our benefit. I think having a trade association behind it helps to do that.
I think that's a very important point you made there, Kevin. Obviously, I think people from the outside look at the industry and they might think about it how it used to be. But as we're describing, so many things have changed. Hopefully, that does a great deal for the industry to make us look a lot more professional. And obviously, when we get potential clients, they can see, okay, things have changed. There's an official body, there's there's accreditation and all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
I think going back to your question about, when you see a question go on the forum and it's complicated, no one's going to know the answer. There's also the inverse of that, when a question goes on and it's really simple and everybody knows the answer, but still people are prepared to be gracious and go on right at length to someone explaining stuff which to most of us would be blatantly obvious. Why don't you just read a book or Google it or something? But there's that sense of care and professional responsibility that people, the other videographers, the other IOV members want that person to feel secure and to achieve and to be supported, and I think that's incredibly valuable.
And I also think that the common route into the market is not like other industries where people go through a formal education channel and they learn and get qualifications and then progress that way. People are generally, it's a hobby or an interest that turns into something that ends up being your income.
We're all ex-amateurs.
We are, and I kind of think we all remember where we come from, I hope we do. And you're right, it's very rewarding when you see people being generous on the forums with their knowledge and experience. Okay, based on the majority of your work, if you had to choose between a traditional video camera and a DSLR, what would you choose and why?
DSLR for me. We used to shoot on the big old cameras, and so we sold one, bought a DSLR, sold the second one, bought a DSLR a few months later. Did the same to now. We're at the stage where we don't have any video cameras anymore. Purely the reason being that the picture that you get from being able to change your lenses so cost effectively. And yet just the end result is just looks more and more, and we keep saying it's cinematic, and that's exactly what we want, and that's exactly what our clients want, and that's exactly what these cameras are going to give us. Certainly for certain industries, the video camera, is the standard thing to be shooting on. But for us, and I'm sure Jag will probably agree, and you can let me know if otherwise, DSLRs all the way.
Well, my answer is depends on the job. We do still use video cameras. However, the thing about DSLRs, if you had asked me 6 months ago, a year ago, I might have just said strictly video camera, because you had a DSLR, then you had lens, then you had the sound, then you had something to rig it, and then obviously the cost was going up and up and up. And then you had sort of all the limitations of 12-minute files, I think it is, something like that. So we use combination of DSLRs and video cameras, because nowadays there's a lot of video cameras that give us the DSLR look. They are comparatively a lot less in terms of price, but ultimately it depends on the job. If it's a short shoot, I will go DSLR route. If it's a wedding, I'll definitely have one video camera on there, maybe a couple of DSLRs, cutaways or something, yeah.
Yeah, I would say a DSLR and shed loads of grip and accessories, or a C100 or a C300, and slightly less pile of grip and accessories. But
that's why. Sorry,
you're gone.
that's exactly why I'm here. But actually, because as I say, we're shooting on full DSLRs at the minute, and why I'm here is to look at the next camera that's going to have all of those video camera qualities, like decent audio in.
Let us know when you find it.
Continuous. I know where I'm going to find it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but yeah.
We're not going to be able to get through all of our questions, guys, because I've got to
You're about to be
my
thrown
clock
off,
going down. Just as find it, how can people find out a bit more about Ben and your company? Tell us what they can do.
So they can Google Kissing Gate Films, or they can go straight direct to www.kissinggatefilms.com, and everything you need to know will be there.
Pretty much same for us. Website is perfectimaging.co.uk. We have a Facebook page, Perfect Imaging, and all our stuff is on there if you want to see more about us.
Yeah, if you Google Stuart Boreham, there's actually two Stuart Borehams that are reasonably famous. One of them holds the Land's End to John O'Groats time record on a lawnmower. He's the fastest person ever to
And
go
he
from
also
Land's-
shoots video.
No, that's the other one, sadly. I'm the boring one. Yeah, so Google me, that's fine.
It's funny because if you Google Kevin Cook, you'll get Kevin Cook, the dice collector. And
The what
he's
guy?
the dice collector. The
Dice collector?
Yeah, he collects dice, this guy. Worldwide famous for the
Whereas
dice
in your work,
collector.
you just dice with death
That's
on a daily
right,
basis.
yeah, or just dicey bloke. So, so I've got to give a little bit of a plug to the event. I mean, I'm going to have a little look around today at BVE. So you can follow us all on tweets at BroadcastShow, or hashtag BVE14, or hashtag BVE 2014.